Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here to take complex source material, all those articles and notes, and distill it down into, well, knowledge you can actually use.
And today we are plunging into AI image generation.
A space that is, and I think everyone feels this, both full of infinite creative potential.
And on a daily basis, just immense frustration. The sources we looked at really hit on that perfect duality.
Yeah.
You can generate these incredible professional grade assets, product mock-up, beautiful digital art for prints.
But only if you can figure out how to speak the AI's language.
Exactly.
And that's the frustrating part, right? Submitting what feels like a perfectly good request and getting back something that is just a visual clunker.
Muddled, structurally awkward, just plain weird, yeah.
And the main insight from our sources isn't about switching tools, it's about upgrading one very specific skill.
Prompt engineering. Right. A prompt is just the input, the instructions, you feed the model. You just think of it like placing a really complex order with a chef who's maybe a little inexperienced, but incredibly fast.
Okay, I like that.
So the mission for this deep dive is to show you how to apply care and, more importantly, a specific structure to that order, to that input.
To make sure the output is exactly what you wanted.
Every single time.
And the analogy that really stuck with me, the one that sort of governs this whole conversation, is that generative AI right now is utterly literal.
Oh, completely.
It's like a child, an incredibly talented child who can draw anything, but has zero nuance, zero context.
And if you aren't perfectly explicit, it will fill in those blanks itself.
In the most frustrating ways possible.
And for you, the person trying to create assets or products quickly, minimizing that frustration, that back and forth, is the fastest way to get things done.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have distilled 7 really actionable tips from the sources today, and they're structured to guide you from those vague ideas to really specific professional grade images.
And we're starting with the framework, the absolute must-haves for every single prompt.
Let's get into the structure. Tip number 1. This one hits the most common mistake right on the head, not providing a complete blueprint.
If you just ask for a picture of a dog, you've left almost everything up to chance.
You're guaranteed a generic result. Random breed, random setting.
It's a guaranteed clunker because the AI has to default to its internal average of what dog means, which is often really bland.
So to stop that from happening, you need a checklist. The sources say there are 4 essential components that make up the blueprint for any good prompt.
First up is the image type. You have to be specific here.
Right. Is this a photograph? A watercolor illustration?
Or a 3D product mock-up? Or even a cartoon. This defines the whole texture and medium of the image.
Okay, second is the main subject, the thing itself.
This one sounds obvious, but precision is key. Don't just say a flower.
Say a singular, vibrant red poppy, something concrete.
Exactly. Third, the background. Where is this subject?
Is it on a city street? In a canyon? On a polished marble table?
The environment gives context. It suggests the lighting.
Which brings us to the last one. The composition style.
And this is where you inject the mood, the technical details. You can describe the lighting as bright and sunny, or the tones as warm and rustic.
Or get technical, like hyper-realistic or sepia-toned.
Including all 4 of those just instantly gives the AI a complete instruction set to work from. It manages expectations from the very start.
So now we know what to include. Tip number 3 from the sources tells us where to put it.
Yes. You have to prioritize the primary request. State the most important information first.
It's about signaling what matters most to the AI.
Right. Think about how these models process language. They read sequentially.
So the words at the beginning carry more weight.
Significantly more. Often. If you bury your main subject, let's say it's a new chair you're designing deep in a paragraph about the wallpaper and the time of day.
The AI might focus on the wallpaper instead of the chair.
It might dilute its focus.
Exactly. So if I'm making a product shot of a sneaker, I need to start with something like a hyper-realistic photo of a high-top custom sneaker.
Yes. Make the sneaker the first major noun. That placement ensures it doesn't become secondary to some fancy lighting effect you describe later. It's critical staging.
And that idea of staging leads perfectly into tip number 4. Be literal. Avoid the abstract.
It is so important. It all comes back to that core limitation we mentioned. The AI can't interpret metaphors. Not yet, anyway.
Can't process feelings or implied concepts.
It processes language, not intent. I remember when I first started, I spent, 45 minutes trying to get it to draw existential dread.
What did you get?
Just, empty rooms, weirdly drawn black holes. It was a mess because I was asking for an emotion.
That's a perfect example. The sources used a great one for generating an illustration for the book Dracula.
Right. Instead of asking for something abstract like ancient horror.
Which means nothing to a machine.
You have to translate that feeling into concrete visual elements.
So the prompt that actually worked was, a tall man with dark hair and a narrow face stands over a pale young woman in bed.
Antique furnishings, deep red curtain backdrop, lantern light, in a sepia-toned photographic style.
See? It completely bypasses the need for the AI to feel anything.
It's just describing the scene. The physical objects, the actions, the light source.
And think of the time you save. If you start with facts, you get a solid image. If you start with feelings, you get chaos.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork. That's tips 1, 3, and 4. But before we get to optimization, we have to talk about 2 major pitfalls that can just destroy even a well-formed prompt.
And we're jumping back for a moment to tip number 2, the wordiness trap.
This one feels a little counterintuitive.
It is, because we just spent all this time saying add more detail.
Right, but there's a huge difference between essential detail and just being, well, verbose. Long, meandering sentences with tons of extra adjectives, they just confuse the AI.
They dilute the core message.
This is a classic efficiency killer. The source material had this brilliant side-by-side comparison that shows exactly why being concise is so important.
Okay, so the ineffective wordy one was a hyper-realistic photo of a young girl with an eerie background of a beach on a foggy day with looming clouds and weird lighting.
And it keeps going. She's holding a bucket and shovel, and there's a big and menacing bird headed toward her.
That's a mouthful. The AI is trying to process eerie, foggy, looming, weird. It's just visual clutter.
It's redundant. Now compare that to the effective version.
Which was just a photo of a little girl holding a bucket and a shovel on a beach on a cloudy day with a menacing sky and eerie lighting.
See the difference? It communicates all the essential elements, mood, subject, setting, without the fluff.
You're streamlining the instructions so the AI isn't wasting energy trying to figure out 5 different ways of saying gloomy.
Exactly. Less really is more, and that leads right into the absolute prompt killer.
Tip number 5, eliminating contradictions.
This is critical. The AI is trying to interpret every single instruction you give it.
So if you give it conflicting terms, it just breaks.
It causes immediate confusion. You're basically asking it to optimize for 2 things that are mutually exclusive. And it can't.
Okay, hold on. I have a challenge here. The sources mention vintage style and high resolution as a contradictory pair. Why?
That's a really smart question.
I mean, couldn't I just want a high-resolution scan of an old photo?
Conceptually, yes, we understand that. But to the AI model, those terms represent conflicting visual priorities. Vintage style implies things like film grain, light bleed, sepia tones.
Lower fidelity, basically, the stuff that makes it look old.
Right, and high resolution is a technical instruction to maximize sharpness, clarity, and a lack of those artifacts. The exact opposite.
Ah, I see. So you're pitting them against each other.
You are. And the AI tries to do both and usually fails at both.
The sources listed other pairs too, right? Like eerie background, but also brightly lit.
Or minimalist design with highly detailed filigree work.
Those physically cannot exist at the same time. You're forcing it to attempt a logical impossibility.
And you get a muddled mess. So if you do want a high-res image of an antique photo, you have to be literal about it.
How would you phrase that?
Something like, a clear, high-resolution photograph of an antique sepia-toned photograph showing X. You define the output's qualities separately from the subject's characteristics.
That deepens the understanding perfectly. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting, for me anyway. We're shifting from creating that first prompt to optimizing the whole workflow.
This is tip number 6, fine-tuning by adding specifics, or as we call it, iterative editing.
This is the smart way to avoid that wordiness trap we just talked about.
Exactly. Instead of cramming 20 details into your first prompt and guaranteeing confusion, you start simple. Get the basic structure right.
And then you refine it, you give it subsequent focused edits.
It breaks the whole process down into simple steps. The example from the sources about generating a kitchen image shows this workflow perfectly.
Okay, so step 1. You start with your basic 4 elements.
A high-quality photo of a modern kitchen with stainless steel appliances, a black tile floor, and an island with bar stools around it.
Solid. Factual. You get a base image. But maybe the mood is wrong.
So instead of rewriting everything, your next prompt, your edit, is just Change the wall color to a light blue.
Simple, one instruction. The AI updates it. Then, say you want to add something for a product shoot.
Your third step is just as focused. Add a platter of assorted sushi and a bottle of sake to the island.
It's so much cleaner, so much more controllable than trying to cram the wall color and the sushi into that first giant paragraph.
You're treating the AI like a collaborator who responds best to one clear instruction at a time.
And that brings us to the final tip, number 7. It's an efficiency hack, really. Save your successful prompts.
This should be obvious, but so many people don't do it. Once you engineer a prompt structure that consistently gives you what you want, a master formula for your preferred lighting or style.
You save it as a template.
Of course. It's a total waste of time to re-engineer every single prompt from scratch.
So if you figure out that the phrase cinematic lighting, f1.8 aperture, shot on medium format film, extremely detailed, gives you the exact look you need for your products.
You save that phrase. Then for the next image, you just plug in the new subject. You change a red bicycle to a black cat, but you keep the structure that works.
It gets you, 80% of the way to a perfect image instantly.
It dramatically streamlines the whole process.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, all 7 of these tips, from that 4-part checklist to saving your prompts, it's all about leveraging knowledge for speed.
And for reliable quality. It helps you fast-track the whole generation process, which means you can create products faster.
It's about turning an idea in your head into a monetizable asset without all the frustrating trial and error.
Precisely. It's all about communicating with precision.
So what does this all mean? I think it means the difference between that frustrating visual clunker and a professional-grade image comes down entirely to the care and structure you put into the prompts.
The more specific and literal you are, the better the AI can deliver what you actually envisioned.
And that leads to a final provocative thought for you to mull over.
We spent a lot of time on why contradictory language confuses an AI.
Yeah.
Right? Because it tries to follow every instruction literally.
Yeah.
So if that kind of literal, non-contradictory specificity works so well with artificial intelligence, what structures or prompt formulas from this deep dive could you apply to, say, the early stages of product development?
Oh, that's interesting.
Or, in creative direction, to guarantee better initial results from your team, or even your clients?
Thinking about your client brief as a prompt checklist, that's a fantastic way to apply this. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll get you next time.